So, if you've been on the internet at all lately, you've probably seen them, humanoid robots. And it feels like they just exploded onto the scene, going from something you'd see in a sci-fi movie to something popping up in your social media feed like overnight. But here's the thing, this isn't just another cool tech demo. We're talking about a full-blown revolution, and it's already changing, well, everything, from our factories to our festivals. So let's really dig in and figure out what's going on.
You know, this one line from a Xinhua report absolutely nails it. It perfectly captures the massive shift that's happening right now. We're moving away from spectacle, the flashy, look what we can do demos, and straight into scalable industrial reality. It means we're past the point of just showing off. These robots are becoming a real, functional part of our world. The age of the shiny demo is over, the age of actual application is just getting started. And seriously, when I say they're everywhere, I am not exaggerating. In just the last year, humanoid robots have basically walked right out of the research lab and into the public eye in some really surprising ways. It feels like a full-scale deployment into society, and it's happening way faster than pretty much anyone predicted.
I mean, we've seen them performing on one of the biggest stages on the entire planet. Picture this, at China's massive Spring Festival Gala, you had a whole troupe of these robots performing a totally synchronized folk dance. And their movements were so agile, so coordinated, it just blew the minds of hundreds of millions of people watching.
And it doesn't stop at dancing. They're also taking on jobs where they interact with us. We're talking about robots as baristas, making fancy latte art, or as tour guides in museums. They've even shown up at traditional temple fairs, playing the role of the god of wealth and handing out AI-powered fortunes. It's kind of wild.
Okay, but this is the real game changer. They are now officially on the assembly lines of major car companies. Think about that. Companies like Ubitech are putting their Walker S robots to work in factories for giants like NIO and Audi. They're doing quality checks and handling logistics, working right next to human employees. This is the big one. So you have to ask, right? Why now? What is going on that's causing this sudden explosion? Well, it's not just one single thing. It's more like a perfect storm of incredible leaps in technology, a ton of economic pressure, and some really intense national ambition. Let's break down the forces that are really driving this thing forward. Yeah, this is way more than just building some cool tech. What we're seeing is a full-blown global race for who will dominate a technology that could literally define the next 100 years. And the two main players, no surprise here, are the United States and China. And you better believe they each have a very different strategy. And if you want to understand the scale of this, just look at these numbers. By 2025, just 2 Chinese companies are projected to ship over 70% of all humanoid robots in the world. That's insane. And, this didn't happen by accident. This is the direct result of huge government support and a very clear strategic plan to control the entire robotics supply chain by 2027.
And this table really lays out the 2 completely different philosophies at play. You can almost think of it as a race to build the brain versus a race to build the body. Over in the US, you've got companies like Figure AI, backed by heavy hitters like OpenAI and Microsoft, and they are all in on creating that super powerful general-purpose AI brain. But in China, they're mastering the body, focusing on the hardware, the agility, and just scaling production like crazy to make them affordable.
Now, what's fascinating is that this global race is creating 2 totally distinct types of robots. On one path, you've got machines that are built for one thing and one thing only: labor. And on the other path, you have machines designed specifically to interact with us, on a social level.
First up, let's talk about the workhorses. These are robots like Agility's Digit, which is already on the job in Amazon warehouses, or Ubitech's Walker S, which you'll find in Airbus and Audi factories. Their entire reason for existing is to be strong, to be efficient, and to be tough enough to handle really demanding physical work day in and day out.
And then you have the companions. And these are a completely different beast. We're talking about hyper-realistic androids from companies like X-Robot. Their job isn't to lift heavy things. It's to look you right in the eye, hold a conversation using powerful AI, and mimic human facial expressions with an accuracy that is, frankly, a little startling.
You see, the whole point of these companion bots is to solve one of the oldest and hardest problems in robotics, finally climbing out of the uncanny valley. You know that weird, creepy feeling you get when you see something that looks almost human, but not quite? That's it. And by perfecting things like silicone skin and tiny facial movements, they are getting closer than ever to making that feeling disappear.
So
this explosion of both workhorse and companion robots, it promises a massive economic boom, no doubt about it. But it also forces us to stop and ask some really tough, really important questions about the kind of future we're actually building here.
Let's talk money for a second, because the economic potential is just staggering. Goldman Sachs thinks the humanoid robot market could hit $38 billion by 2035. And honestly, that's one of the more conservative guesses out there. Some people are talking about a market that could be worth trillions.
All that progress, all that money, it's supposed to solve things like labor shortages and make everything more productive. And it will. But these benefits don't come for free. There are huge societal trade-offs that we're really just beginning to think about.
So, the real challenge, the thing we all have to figure out, is how to balance that incredible economic promise with the very real societal costs. We are talking about the potential for massive job displacement, a downward push on wages, and some major questions about data privacy when you have robots that can see and hear literally everything in our homes and workplaces.
Okay, so before we all have a humanoid robot in our homes, like a smartphone, the whole industry has a few pretty big hurdles left to get over. These are the fundamental challenges that are separating the prototypes we see today from the mass market reality of tomorrow. Really, it boils down to three major roadblocks. Number one is cost. They have to come way down in price before most businesses, let alone you and me, can afford one. Second is battery life. I mean, a robot that can only work for 3 or 4 hours just isn't that useful on an 8-hour factory shift. And third is dexterity. The human hand is an absolute miracle of engineering, and getting a robot to copy its delicate touch and fine motor skills is still one of the hardest problems in robotics, period.
And this quote right here, it gets to the absolute core of the ultimate goal. The CEO of Unitree, one of the biggest robot companies in the world, basically said the industry is waiting for its own ChatGPT moment. Think about that. That's the tipping point. The moment when these machines are so smart and so capable that you can just tell them what to do in plain English, and they just figure it out.
Which, of course, brings us to the biggest question of them all. As we get better and better at making these machines look and act like us, what role are they really going to play in our lives? Are we building partners to work alongside us? Or are we building our own replacements? That's the question we're all going to have to answer, probably a lot sooner than any of us think.